The old storeroom smelled of dust and forgotten memories. Shelves lined the walls stacked with faded boxes, broken models, and untouched files. The flickering bulb above hummed like a dying insect, throwing shadows that danced across the cracked floor. One pushed the door open carefully, coughing as a cloud of dust rose to greet her. She clutched her notebook close to her chest, squinting around in search of the supplies her teacher had sent her to fetch. Great, couldn't have picked a creepier place, she murmured under her breath, brushing off the cobweb from the handle of her cabinet. Outside the window, dark clouds had begun swallowing the sky, turning the world grey and dim. The wind howled softly, rattling the loose panes. Just then the door creaked again. Mine turned sharply, her heart skipping a beat, only to see him, Taehyung, the bad boy, her senior, and the same guy who had proposed to her twice, only to be sweetly and firmly rejected both times. He was on the phone, his deep voice cutting through the silence. "Yeah, are you sure it's in here? I'm not seeing..." He froze mid-sentence when he saw her and lowered his phone. The corner of his lips lifted slightly. "Well, look who fate decided to collide with me." Mine's throat went dry. She clutched her books tighter and looked away, pretending to be very, very interested in the supplies. "Don't flatter yourself. I was sent here by Professor Hand." Hand chuckled under his breath, shoving his phone in his pocket and heading toward the other side of the room. "Relax, little one. I'm just here for some equipment my friend dumped in here last week, not to kidnap you." She ignored him, rummaging through the boxes, muttering about how disorganized everything was. The air felt heavier now, as if the room itself was listening. Then suddenly bang. The door slammed shut with a loud thud, the sound echoing in the small space. Both of them flinched. Mine's head snapped toward the door. What was that? Wind, Taehyung said, but his tone carried a flicker of unease. She strode toward the door, tugging the handle. It didn't move. She tried again, harder this time, but it was no use. Her pulse spiked. It's locked." Taehyung frowned and walked over, gently pushing her aside. His hand gripped the handle, muscles flexing under his rolled-up sleeves as he tried to force it open. Nothing. It crisped under his breath and banged on the door, calling out, but only the echo of his own voice replied. When he turned back, Wine was pressed against the wall, breathing in short, uneven gasps, her fingers trembling around her books. Taehyung's teasing expression vanished. He crouched down in front of her, his tone soft and low. Hey, relax, little one. I'm not gonna eat you. Just breathe, okay?" In and out. Her eyes flared up to meet his glistening. A tear rolled down her cheek as she whispered between uneven breaths. "It's not you. I just feel suffocated here." He bit his lip, unsure how to comfort her. His usual confidence melted away. He exhaled softly. "All right, just calm down. I'll get you out of here, I promise." He slid out his phone and dialed his friend's number. No answer. He tried again, still nothing. A small sigh escaped his lips. "They're not answering. Do you have your phone?" She shook her head quickly. "It's in my bag, outside." He ran a frustrated hand through his hair before turning back to her. "Do you remember your friend's number? Try calling from mine." Mine nodded, her hands still shaking slightly as he handed her the phone. Their fingers brushed warm skin against cold fingertips, and for a split second she forgot how to breathe again. She quickly dialed. After 2 rings, the call connected. "Joanna, it's me, Wine. I'm locked in the storeroom. Please, can you come open the door?" He watched her intently, his expression unreadable. She hung up and handed the phone back to him. She slowly calmed down under his gaze, not breaking her own gaze from his face. Her heartbeat raised, and she felt an indescribable feeling in his chest. He leaned back, a teasing smile spreading across his face. "You know, if you keep looking at me like that, I might think you like me." Her eyes widened. "Pervert, you are the one staring." His laughter filled the small room, warm, husky, unregarded. The kind of laugh that felt too real, too honest. One brain startled. For the first time she realized he didn't look so intimidating when he smiled. He raised a brow, his voice slow and playful. "I stayed because I like you." Her heart stuttered, hate rushing to her face. She stood quickly, brushing the dust off her skirt. "Still, it's creepy," she muttered. Taehyung stood too, his eyes softening. He took a step closer, his voice dipping just above a whisper. "Let my eyes quench their thirst, Wine." Her breath caught. "What?" She took a startled step back, tripping slightly on a loose box. Taehyung instantly reached out, his hand wrapping around her arm, steadying her gently. "Careful," he murmured, his touch firm but tender. Before either could say another word, a faint voice echoed from outside. "Wine, are you in there?" "Joanna," Wine called out, relief flooding her face. After a few tense seconds, the door finally cracked open, and fresh air rushed in. Wine stepped out quickly, her friend grabbing her hand in worry. "Wine, how were you locked in there?" And Joanna's eyes widened when she saw Taehyung step out behind her. "He was in there. Oh my God, did he do something? Did he lock you in there? I swear I'll break his head. Hey, you, was this your disgusting revenge for being rejected by her?" Taehyung groaned, rubbing his temples. "Here we go." Wine held Joanna's arm. "He didn't do anything, Joanna. He was stuck with me. I even called you from his phone. Why would he help me if he wasn't wrong?" Joanna closed her arms still glaring. Still, we can't trust him. Can step closer, his gaze sharp but calm. I don't want your trust, miss. But next time, watch your words before you speak. I might be anything but not this despicable and disgusting person. The authority in his tone made Joanna step back. But then his gaze drifted to mine. Instantly, his expression softened, all warmth again. He held out her books, your books. She reached out silently to take them, her fingers brushing his again. His lips curled into that heart-stopping smell. Next time, don't run away from me, little one. You might leave your heart behind instead of your books. Before she could respond, he gently patted her head and walked away. One stood frozen, her face burning, watching his retreating figure. Joanna blinked, mouth hanging open. That guy is smitten. You rejected him twice, and instead of holding a grudge, his eyes look like he's carrying oceans for you. Wine pressed her lips together, her hand unconsciously reaching up to where he patted her head. A small shy smile curved her lips. Joanna caught it instantly. That's a smile of someone catching feelings. Wine elbowed her, glaring, shut up. Joanna grinned wickedly. Maybe I'll save his number. Who knows, maybe I have a chance. Don't even think about it. Wine bled before she could stop herself. Joanna's laugh echoed down the hall while Wine marched away, face bright red, her heart still thumping far too fast for comfort. Few days later, for days Wine's mind refused to rest. Every time she closed her eyes, she could hear his laugh, low, husky, and unexpectedly warm. The memory of his smile in that dusty storeroom kept replaying, haunting her in the gentlest way possible. It was ridiculous. Really, how just one person could disturb the calm she had always carried like armor. Every time they passed each other in the hallway, Taehyung would flash that same captivating smile, lazy, teasing, but holding a softness that reached his eyes. Wine would feel her heart stumble in her chest before she looked away, pretending to fix her hair or check her notebook. Even in the canteen, it was the same. He would lean against the counter, chatting with his friends, and the moment their eyes met, that knowing smile would tug at his lips. It was like he knew exactly what he was doing to her, and she hated that it was working. Today, Wine was walking toward her class, holding her notebook close, when the sudden sound of shouting froze her mid-step. Students were crowding the hallway. A fight had broken out, shouting, yelling, fist swinging. Her heart jumped when she spotted a familiar face among them. Anthony, she gasped. Her younger brother was being pulled into the brawl, trying to push someone off. Panic surged through her. Without thinking, she darted forward. Anthony stopped, but before she could reach him, a strong arm suddenly wrapped around her waist, yanking her back. She gasped, her feet leaving the floor for a second before she was pulled safely against someone's chest. Her breath caught as she turned her head, only to find herself staring straight into Taehyung's eyes. His jaw was clenched, his voice low but trembling with anger. Are you insane? He gently set her down near the wall, his hands still steadying her shoulders. You could have gotten hurt, Wine. For a moment, all she could see was the very act in his expression. Not annoyance, not irritation, but genuine fear. Her throat tightened. My brother Anthony, he's in there, she said, desperately grabbing his hand. He followed her gaze to the chaos in front of them. Students were still throwing punches, the noise echoing down the hall. He squeezed her hand once and said firmly, Stay here, I'll bring him out. Before she could stop him, he moved forward, stepping into the mess like a storm in human form. The shouting began to quiet as soon as he entered. Even the younger boys hesitated. His presence carried a weight that made people instinctively step back. He caught Anthony by the collar, pulling him away from the center. His tone sharp, Enough everyone, back to your classes before I make this worse. His voice alone was enough to scatter them. The crowd slowly broke apart, the fight dissolving into awkward silence. When he returned, he had his arm slung protectively around Anthony's shoulder. Wine rushed forward, eyes wide with worry. Anthony, are you okay? Did you get hurt? Anthony shook his head, quickly coughing a little. I'm fine, don't freak out. When she continued to force, he mumbled, cheeks flushed with embarrassment. Stop it. My friends will laugh at me. Sam chuckled, reaching out to grab the back of Anthony's neck playfully. You're worse with that attitude, kid. Your sister was very sick, be nice. Anthony pouted and muttered a sheepish, Sorry, Wine. She sighed, shaking her head. Just don't do that again. When she turned to Taehyung, her eyes softened. Thank you. He smiled easily, throwing an arm around Anthony's shoulder. It's fine, just don't get yourself into trouble. You too. I'm not saving you every time. He ruffled Anthony's hair before walking away, his laughter echoing faintly down the hall. Van exhaled deeply, telling her brother to go back to the class. Anthony nodded, giving her a small, awkward smile before leaving. But Van's gaze lingered on the spot where Taehyung had disappeared. The image of him wading into that fight without hesitation replayed in her mind again and again, tugging something warm in her chest. Hours later, the day stretched into a quiet afternoon. No one sat in the library pretending to study, but mostly tracing the outline of his name on the edge of her notebook like an idiot. She shook her head at herself, muttering, You're losing it, Wine. Eventually, she went searching for a reference book, wandering to the tall shelf section at the back. The book she needed sat annoyingly high, far beyond her reach. She stretched up on her toes, fingers just barely grazing it. Almost, her balance wavered before she could fall. A familiar hand reached over her shoulder, plucking the book out with effortless ease. Careful, Shorty. Came that kissing voice, smooth as velvet. You'll break that tiny neck of yours. Wine turned quickly, her heart already doing somersaults. Thanks, she muttered, snatching the book. Taehyung smiled deeper as he leaned closer, lowering his voice to a whisper that brushed her ear. "You're welcome, wifey." Her eyes widened. "What?" She yelped, face burning crimson. He stepped back, laughing quietly, the sound filling the empty aisle. "Pervert," she muttered, clutching the book like a shield. He raised his hands in mock surrender, amusement dancing in his eyes. After a moment of silence, she cleared her throat softly. "Thank you for earlier with Anthony." His expression softened. His teasing faded into something gentler. "It's all right, you don't have to thank me." She hesitated, then smiled faintly. "You're not as bad as you act, you know." He chuckled, leaning forward until his breath fanned her face. "Only for you, sweetheart." Her heart flipped painfully. She looked away, pretending to fix her hair. "You're impossible," she murmured. He reached out, brushing a loose strand from her forehead with his fingertips. His touch lingered for a heartbeat. "What happened, little one?" he teased softly. "Are you considering me now?" Her breath caught. "Are you asking me out again?" she whispered, biting her lip. He patted her head gently. "Well, yes." She stared at him, eyes wide, searching for a hint of joke, but he was serious. Smiling softly, he laughed, then breaking the tension. "Don't look at me like that. I'm not forcing you, Wine." He turned, ready to walk away, but before he could take another step, Wine grabbed his hand. I want to," she blurted out. He turned back slowly, raising a brow. "You want to what?" She hesitated, her lips trembling slightly before she could answer, but Taehyung didn't give her the chance. His hand tightened around hers, and he gently pulled her toward him until she could feel the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. He cupped her face with one hand, thumb brushing her cheek. His voice dropped quite in earnest. "Are you sure, Wine? You wouldn't regret it? Because if I have you, I won't let you go. Not until death do us apart." Her eyes glistened, but her smile was steady. "I'm sure." He exhaled shakily, lowering his forehead to hers. "Tell me I'm not dreaming." Wine chuckled softly and pinched his shoulder. "But that's for calling me shorty." He hissed, then laughed, completely taken off guard. Before he could grab her, she giggled and darted away between the shelves. Taehyung called after her, his voice filled with laughter. "Don't worry, shorty, you will be completely in my grasp soon." Her laughter echoed back, bright and light, disappearing down the corridor. Taehyung stood there for a long moment, smiling like an absolute fool, still unable to believe that this time she had actually said yes. A few days later, Taehyung's happiness changed after that moment. They were no longer just two people who happened to orbit each other. They were something steady, something real. His laughter, once rare and low, now came easily when she was near. He only smiled for her, only teased her, only softened around her. "Morning, shorty." He trolled one day, sliding a cup of coffee across the table to her. Wine frowned, reaching for it. "I'm not short." "You are," he said with that lazy grin, leaning forward. "I just happen to like my coffee and my girlfriend fun-sized." She rolled her eyes, trying not to smile. "You're insufferable. Yet you drink my coffee every day." She muttered something under her breath that made him laugh out loud. That deep sound that made her chest flutter. Joanna was fuming when she found out. "I can't believe you started dating him while I was away. And you didn't even tell me, Wine." Wine pouted guiltily, tugging Joanna's hand. "It just happened. He's not who he used to be, Jovi." "Oh, so I go on vacation and suddenly you forget your best friend." Before Wine could defend herself, Taehyung appeared, leaning casually against the door frame, with his hands in his pockets, eyes gleaming with mischief. "Actually, she didn't forget you. You're just jealous she finally found someone better to make coffee with." "Taehyung." Wine hissed under her breath, glaring at him. He winked. "What?" "Just stating facts." Joanna rolled her eyes. "You're impossible." "I try my best," he said smoothly, sliding his arm around Wine's shoulders, making her cheeks burn, and from then on he found every excuse to cling to her. He would steal her hair ties and hold them hostage, twirling them around his fingers just to watch her pout. "Taehyung, give it back." He leaned close, his voice low. "No, you look better with your hair down anyway." Her cheeks flushed. "You're impossible." "Maybe," he murmured, brushing his thumb along her jawline as he cornered her by her locker. "But you're mine, Wine. I don't share." Her eyes softened at the possessiveness beneath his teasing. She reached up, cupping his face gently. "You don't have to." He sighed softly, brushing his nose against hers before pressing a quick kiss to her lips. "I know, I just want to hide you in my pocket sometimes. That Joanna wants to keep you from me." Wine giggled. "That's my best friend." Yeah, he muttered, rolling his eyes. "Best friend, my rival." Another day, when a classmate asked Wine for her notes, Taehyung appeared out of nowhere like a storm. "She's too busy helping me," he said, yanking the notebook from the boy's hands. "Find someone else." "Taehyung," she scolded, glaring. He smiled. "What?" "Sharing isn't my strongest trait." Wine groaned, but a small secret smile tugged at her lips, and despite her mock annoyance, a part of her loved it. Then came the day she caught him watching her during an argument. A group of bully girls had been throwing sly comments, and Wine had finally snapped, slicing through their words with sharp wit and calm defiance. Taehyung leaned back against the wall, arms folded and a mute grin curving his lips. When it was over, he thundered up to her, his voice low and rough with admiration. "God, you look hot when you fight back." Her glare shot to him instantly. "I can fight you too, you know." He placed a hand dramatically over his chest. "Even if you murder me, I'll happily die." "Shut up," she muttered, punching his chest with a pout. He just grinned, clearly unbothered. Today, Wine spent the whole day coaxing and annoyed Joanna back into good spirits, and by the time she was free, she realized she hadn't seen him all day. Panic tugged at her chest. She searched the campus, asking around, but no one had seen him, until she stepped into the library. There he was, head resting on his folded arms, breathing slow and even. The sun brushed soft gold across his face. Her heart melted. Quietly, she walked closer and sat beside him, brushing her fingers gently through his hair. He stirred faintly, frowning in his sleep. She smiled, pulling his jacket over his shoulders. His lashes fluttered and his sleepy voice mumbled, "Taking care of me now, wifey." Her breath got shut up. She muttered shyly. He smiled lazily, straightening up and reaching for her hand, intertwining their fingers. The warmth made her heart skip. He lifted her hand to his lips and pressed a soft kiss to her knuckles. "You didn't come to see me all day," he murmured. "I'm mad." Her fingers brushed his hair from his forehead. "I'm sorry. I was with Joanna all day." She's still upset. He raised his brows, smirking. "So you don't miss me?" One gasped softly, almost panicking. "I did, that's why I'm here," he chuckled. "You're falling for me deeper every day, aren't you?" Her lips curved in defiance. "Maybe you're the one falling deeper." He leaned in his chair, scraping closer. "You think so?" "Pretty sure," she whispered, smiling back. He grinned, eyes glinting. "Then prove it." Before she could ask how, he kissed her, slow and unhurried, his lips moving against hers like a promise. She gasped, pushing lightly at his chest. "Taehyung, the librarian's here," she whispered. He chuckled against her lips. She wouldn't dare say anything. "Taehyung." He rested his forehead against hers, eyes closed. She sighed softly. "Why were you sleeping here? Are you feeling okay?" He shook his head, murmuring, "Just sleepy, didn't sleep well last night." "Why?" she asked, concern in her tone. "I was playing games with the guys," he said, stretching. Mom frowned instantly. "You should focus on your studies instead," he groaned dramatically. "I have been failing for 2 years because of you." Her eyes widened. "What?" He laughed quietly, clearly enjoying her reaction. "Yeah, distracted by you." "You, Taehyung." She nearly hit him again. "This time, you have to pass." He tilted his head, grinning. "I'll graduate with you." She held his hands, her tone turning serious. "Promise me, okay? You'll try for real." He stared at her for a moment, the sincerity in her eyes melting him completely. He sighed, defeated. "Fine. I'll do whatever you say." She smiled brightly. He groaned. "Don't smile like that. It's dangerous." "Why?" she asked, raising a brow. "Because it makes me want to kiss you again," he whispered. Her heart skipped. "You're unbelievable." He chuckled and pulled her gently into his chest, wrapping his arms around her. She relaxed against him as he pressed a soft kiss to the top of her head. "Stay like this," he murmured, "just for a little." She hummed softly, tracing patterns on his arm. "You're impossible thing." He smiled into her hair. "And you're mine, shorty." Her lips curled as she whispered back, "Always." Time skip. Time had settled beautifully between them. Every morning Taehyung waited by her street, his hands buried in his pockets and that signature grin lighting up his face the moment wine appeared. And every evening he walked her home, rain or shine, carrying her bag no matter how many times she protested. "You don't have to do this every day," she would murmur. "I know," he had said, easily bumping her shoulder playfully. "But what if some other guy gets the idea to walk you home? Gotta prevent tragedies, don't I?" She would laugh softly, shaking her head. "You're ridiculous. Ridiculously in love. You're correct." And she never had a comeback for that. Wine had her ways of returning his affection too. Every day she cooked lunch for him, sometimes little bentos with notes stuck inside, stuff floating in class or good luck genius. Sometimes it was something as simple as rice and kimchi with an extra egg roll because she knew he liked it. He always made a big deal out of it. "You're spoiling me," he would tease, stealing a bite before she could even hand it to him. "One day I'll forget how to feed myself." "That's your problem," she'd reply, pretending to glare as he laughed and kissed her temple. Their weekends were sacred, little worlds of their own. He would bring her flowers every Saturday, never the same kind twice. Sometimes sunflowers, sometimes daisies, once even a bunch of wildflowers that looked like they had been handpicked from a roadside. "For you," he would say simply, and every time she would blush like it was the first time. One weekend he surprised her with tickets to the amusement park. "Taehyung," she gasped as the giant Ferrari wheels loomed over them. He grinned, taking her hand. "I told you I'd take you somewhere fun." The day was perfect. Laughter, messy cotton candy, roller coaster screams, and the way he refused to let go of her hand even once. At one of the game booths he tried and failed 3 times before finally winning her a plushie, a soft bear with a red ribbon. He handed it to her proudly. "See, told you I could win it." "You almost threw the ball at the guy's head," she teased details. He said, grinning. "Now take it or I'll get jealous of the bear too." She giggled, hugging it close. "Thank you, Tae." He would smile softly, brushing his thumb over her cheek. "Anything for you, shorty." As exams approached, he began to change subtly. The easygoing boy who once slept through lectures was now focused, serious, determined. He would still tease her, still find excuses to kiss her hair or steal her pen, but the mischief in his eyes often came with quiet pride. "I'll pass this time," he would tell her, eyes shining, "you'll see." And she believed him, until today rumors spread faster than wind across campus. Cruel whispers saying Taehyung cheated on his exam and got caught. The words hit one like a cold wave. Her chest tightened. No, he wouldn't. Without a second thought, she started searching for him. She checked the library, the cafeteria, even the courtyard. No sign of him. Then finally she found him in an empty classroom. The afternoon sunlight slanted through the blinds, falling across his figure, his back to her shoulders, his fists clenched on the desk. His head was lowered, his breathing uneven. Anger simmering just beneath the surface. Her heart squeezed painfully at the sight. Quietly she walked in, her shoes making soft sounds against the floor. She leaned on the desk behind him, close enough to touch, and gently placed her hand over his fist. "Don't let them get to you," she whispered. His muscles went still under her touch. Before she could pull away, she leaned in and pressed a soft kiss to his cheek. He froze completely, breath catching, then tilted his head back slowly, eyes fluttering shut. "You better not run away after doing that, baby," he murmured in that deep, lazy voice that made her heart skip. She turned scarlet. "Taehyung." But before she could finish, he reached for her waist and pulled her onto his lap. Her breath hissed, her palms resting on his chest, his hands settled gently on her hips as he brushed her hair back from her shoulder. I didn't cheat, he said quietly, his voice low and steady. She didn't even hesitate, her arms wrapped around his neck, pulling him closer until his head rested against her chest. I know, she whispered. He sighed softly, melting against her. His breath warmed through her shirt. She ran her fingers slowly through his hair, feeling the tension leave him bit by bit. Did they take you to see the dean? She asked after a while. Her voice soft but steady. He nodded against her. Yeah, he said he would call me now. Let's see what happens. She nodded too, trying to stay calm. Then they'll probably investigate it. It will be fine, Tay. He hummed, but his gaze lifted to her face, quite searching. His thumb traced her bottom lip gently and lingering. Do you have any idea? He whispered. How much I love you. Her cheeks turned crimson. Tay. He smiled faintly, brushing a kiss to her jaw. You make everything bearable, Wine. She looked at him, her heart full. Her voice barely above a whisper. I just don't want to see you hurt. He chuckled softly, cupping her face. Then keep staying close, that's all I need. Their foreheads touched, breaths mingling, the air between them thick with unspoken warmth. I love you, she murmured, eyes fluttering shut. His lips covered in a smile against her. Say it again. She giggled softly. I love you, you idiot. He grinned. That's better. He kissed her again, soft, slow, full of all the affection he couldn't put into words. The world outside ceased to exist until they froze. Seriously, Joanna's voice rang from the doorway, full of mock outrage. I leave for one day and you're making out in classrooms now. One jerked back, face red as a cherry. Joanna. Taehyung groaned, letting his head fall back. Why does she always appear at the worst times? Joanna folded her arms, smirking. Maybe the universe is trying to save Wine's sanity. Or ruin mine. Taehyung muttered dryly. Hey, Wine glared at both of them. Stop it, both of you. She's my best friend, Joanna declared. My girlfriend, Taehyung corrected, pulling Wine into his arms possessively. And you're stealing her from me. Oh my god. Wine groaned, covering her face as they continued bickering like children. Finally, she stared between them, glaring. Enough. You're both impossible. Taehyung smiled, leaning to whisper in her ear. But you love me more, right? Taehyung, she hissed. Joanna rolled her eyes. See, he's stealing my best friend. Wine sighed but couldn't hide the smile. You two are hopeless. Taehyung only grinned, sliding his hand into hers and pressing a kiss to her knuckles. Maybe, but I have got her heart, and I'm not giving it back. Wine blushed and even Joanna had to suppress a smile. Wine knew one thing for sure. No rumor, no gossip, no misunderstanding could ever take away what they had built. Because they had found home in each other. Time skip. The next morning after that day, the announcement had come like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. The misunderstanding was cleared, the accusations dissolved. Taehyung was innocent, but the dean himself later called him in, apologized and praised his performance. Taehyung had aced his exams and eventually graduated. The day of the graduation ceremony, the air was filled with laughter and pride. Students tossed their caps, families clapped and cheered, and the auditorium sparkled with the energy of new beginnings. And among the crowd stood Wine, her heart pounding, her fingers wrapped tightly around a small bracelet Taehyung had given her months ago. It glimmered faintly under the sunlight. A simple silver chain with a charm shaped like a tiny heart. She held it like it was the most precious thing she owned. When the ceremony ended and everyone flooded outside, she spotted him, tall, sharp in his graduation gown, his smile radiant, and his eyes they found her instantly. Wine, he called softly, weaving through the crowd until he reached her before she could say a word. He pulled her aside behind a building, away from the noise and cameras. His hands found her waist, his forehead brushing hers. I hate leaving you here, he murmured, voice low and rough with emotion. But I'll wait. Your mind doesn't matter if it takes years. She laughed softly, blinking away the sting in her eyes. You're making it sound like we are both leaving the country. His lips squeaked into that boyish smirk she loved. Feels like it, but fine. Laugh all you want. I'll still wait. I'll wait too, she whispered. Good girl, he murmured, his thumb brushing over her lips as his tone softened. Because it's the same for me. I won't be able to see you like before. Dad's urging me to find a job in another city. Her hands slipped into his fingers, lacing tight. You'll do amazing thing. You always do. He smiled, a tired but proud one. Then teasingly, just don't let any other guy near you, or I'll come back and wreck this place. She chuckled, shaking her head. Possessive much, only with you. He said, simply pressing a kiss to her forehead and pulling her into a warm hug. His scent cologne, warmth, comfort, wrapped around her, and she buried her face into his chest. Don't go, she murmured softly. I have to. He whispered against her hair, but I'll come back. I'll always come back. And he did. And slipped by quietly, messages, late night calls, photos sent between busy days. Taehyung found a job and his schedule grew tight, but he never missed a weekend without texting her. Send me a picture of what you are wearing today. She would sigh and send a mirror photo, smiling softly. A moment later, her phone would ring. His voice would come low and playful. Don't smile at anyone in class. You hear me? Gotta make sure no one else looks at that smile before I do. Her cheeks would warm. You're ridiculous. I'm serious, he would say, and she could hear the smile in his voice. She never admitted how she waited for those texts. How she would glance at her phone every hour, hoping it would light up with his name. And then one evening he surprised her. She stepped out of her lecture building, and there he was leaning against his car, hands in his pockets that seemed devastating grin. There she pleaded, miss me? She didn't even answer, she just ran to him. He caught her laughing, arms wrapping tight around her waist as he lifted her slightly. I missed you so much, she whispered into his neck. I know, he said softly, holding her close. I missed you too, baby, but I'm back now. He inhaled her scent deeply. Really? Yes, love, I'm transferred here. She sighed in relief. When she later moved into her small apartment, he barged in like he owned the place. Seriously, he muttered, opening her pantry and frowning. Instant noodles again. She rolled her eyes from the couch. I like them. I don't care, he grumbled, already putting a pan on the stove. I told you before, don't starve. If I'm here, you eat properly. Got it? She smiled, getting up and wrapping her arms around him from behind, resting her cheek against his back. You work overtime, Tay. Please don't wear yourself out for me. He stilled and placed his hand over hers gently. You're worth every bit of it. She smiled against him. You're cheesy. And you love it. She did. During her exams week, she fell sick, feverish, dizzy, unable to study. Tay skipped work without a second thought. He stayed beside her bed all night, wiping her sweat with the damp cloth, holding her hand whenever she whimpered. Tay, she mumbled weakly, tears in her eyes. You should go, you'll get in trouble. He brushed her hair away gently. Don't even say that. She began to cry softly, mumbling between sobs. I'm sorry you had to stay because of me. He sighed, his heart aching at her trembling voice. Hey, hey, he murmured, leaning close. Don't cry, baby, I have got you. She sniffled, pouting, and he smiled faintly. You're always such a baby when you're sick. I'm not. She protested weakly, her voice small. You are. He whispered, kissing her forehead, and I love that about you. She eventually fell asleep with her head on his arm, his thumb drawing slow circles on her back. 2 days later, she was better, determined to catch up. She stayed up late studying. Taehyung, who had been reading on the couch, came to her desk and leaned down. You're worn out, he whispered near her ear. Come sleep, I'll quiz you tomorrow. She glanced at him guiltily. I just feel bad, Tay. You skipped work for me. I should make up for it. His jaw tightened slightly as he crouched beside her. Stop saying that. Tay, I'm fine, he said firmly. But you shouldn't study like this, forgetting yourself. What the hell do I work for if you're exhausting yourself like this? She blinked up at him, taken aback by the edge in his voice. Then she saw the worry in his eyes. Okay, she whispered, his side standing, then suddenly scooped her up effortlessly. Tay, she gasped as he carried her to the bed. He laid her down gently, climbing beside her and pulling her close. There, now breathe. Her head rested on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her back. I love you, she whispered against his heartbeat. His hand still then tightened around her waist. Say it again. She smiled faintly, eyes half closed. I love you. He kissed her hair, murmuring softly. You're everything I ever wanted. They lay there in the quiet, wrapped in each other, talking about everything and nothing, their future, their dreams, their shared fears. I want us to live together one day, he said softly, his voice vibrating against her cheek. We will. She murmured sleepily. One day. He smiled, his lips brushing her forehead. Then promise you'll still look at me the same way when that day comes. I will, she whispered, fingers tracing his jaw. As long as you still bring me flowers. He chuckled, slowly kissing her temple deal, and under the quiet hum of city lights they drifted off, her hand on his heart, his arms around her. The world outside forgetting. For now, it was just them, still young, still learning, but already sure that this was love. Time skip. Years passed in a blink of an eye, and after completing her studies, Wine had applied for a job. A few months ago, she was finally called for an interview. Her heart was drumming in her chest. The day of her job interview. She stood in front of the mirror for the 3rd time, fixing her collar and smoothing her hair, trying to look confident even as her hands trembled slightly. Behind her, Taehyung leaned lazily against the doorframe, his tie hanging loose around his neck, eyes half closed with a mixture of amusement and affection. You look great, he murmured as he walked up to her, taking her trembling hands gently into his much larger ones. He pressed a kiss to her knuckles, slow and reassuring. And if they don't hire you, I'll buy the company and fire them all. Wine couldn't help the small laugh that escaped her lips. No, she said, cupping his face in one hand, thumb brushing the faint dark circles under his eyes. I don't like bad boys. His smirk was instantaneous, wicked yet endearing. He leaned in close enough that his breath fanned against her lips and whispered, but you did fall for one. She rolled her eyes, though her cheeks burned. You changed. He tilted his head, his eyes softening. Only for you. He murmured before kissing her, a slow, gentle brush that steadied her nerves better than any words could. Her interview went beautifully. Maybe it was the confidence Taehyung had wrapped her in that morning. One evening she came home and found Taehyung sprawled on her couch. Jacket tossed aside, tie loose and shoes kicked halfway across the floor. There she sighed, kneeling beside him. He looked utterly exhausted, his face pale, eyes weary, the kind of tiredness that seemed to sink deep into his bones. The moment her arms wrapped around him, his body softened, head dropping onto the crook of her neck, as if it belonged there. His slow hum vibrated against her skin. Rough day, she asked softly. Came his muffled reply, but I'm better now. Are you hungry? She asked. He lifted his head just enough to press a kiss to her lips, lazy, warm, and lingering. No, he whispered. I just want to stay like this for a while. Her fingers brushed through his hair as he melted into her again, his arms looking around her waist. They curled up on the couch. His head was buried in her chest, his hand tracing idle patterns on her waist. One could feel every slow breath he took, each one syncing with hers. You should try something else, Tay, she murmured quietly. Your job is wearing you out. He looked up at her, tired but smiling softly. I don't know. I have been thinking about it. One of my friends wants to start a business together. She smiled, eyes bright. Do you think you should go for it? He nodded slowly. Maybe I'll meet him and see. They talked about their days, his co-workers, her interview, their plans, until time seemed to melt away. Today marked 5 years since they had been together. 5 years of laughter, growth, late-night calls, shared meals, and every heartbeat spent belonging to each other. Humming softly as she stirred the soup. The apartment smelled warm, her favorite scent of garlic and sesame, but her mind kept wandering. Taehyung had gone out early that morning, leaving only a vague note, "I'll be back by lunch, baby." Where could he have gone? She was about to reach for her phone when suddenly strong arms slipped around her waist from behind. She gasped softly only for his familiar voice to rumble near her ear, deep and teasing. "Miss me, little one?" Her body instantly relaxed, leaning back into him. His warmth surrounded her, his scent sandalwood and faint coffee, grounding her completely. "Where have you been?" she asked, smiling, even as he tightened his hold. "Somewhere really important," he murmured, deliberately brushing his lips against her ear, making her shiver. "Lunch is ready," she said, trying to steady her voice. He chuckled lowly, his breath tickling her neck. "Marry me," he whispered, "or I'll eat you up right here." Her face turned scarlet instantly. She smacked his arm lightly. "That's a very beautiful joke, Mr. King." But when she turned, he wasn't smirking. His eyes soft, serious, shining, held hers with that same depth she had fallen in love with years ago. "I'm serious," he said quietly. Her breath caught. Then slowly Taehyung went down on one knee. He pulled a small velvet box from his pocket before he could even open it. Wine dropped down too, wrapping her arms around him, burying her face into his shoulder. "I look like an idiot," she whispered through tears. "I don't even know why I'm crying." He chuckled softly, one hand cupping the back of her head as he could. "Because you're my crybaby." He pulled back just enough to open the box. A delicate ring gleaming inside, and gently slid onto her finger. Then he wiped her tears, his thumb tracing her cheek with infinity tenderness. "There," he said softly. "Now you're officially mine." Her heart melted completely. She leaned forward and kissed him, not gentle, not hesitant, but full of everything she had ever felt. He let out a soft groan of contentment, wrapping his arms around her waist as he stood lifting her effortlessly. When they finally pulled away breathingly, she whispered against his lips, "Thank you for coming into my life, for loving me this way. You don't know what you mean to me." Then his chest rose and fell heavily, his eyes shone, his voice low and trembling as he replied, "If you knew what you mean to me, baby, you'd never let me go." Maya smiled through her tears. "Never." Taehyung grinned faintly, brushing his thumb over her lips once more, the same gesture he had done countless times before, and whispered, "Good God." They laughed softly, forehead pressed together, hearts beating in perfect rhythm. A love that had grown quietly, deeply, and endlessly, and now promised forever.